This is the Gerry Callahan Show.
Well, it is here, Election Day, Tuesday, November 4th, and New Yorkers are already lining up, going to the polls to vote for their own destruction. It's hard to believe we finally reached this day where the majority of New York voters will vote for a communist, a jihadist, a man who doesn't believe in private property, who wants to seize the means of production, who's promising free buses, free rent, free childcare, who's promising to pay for it all by taxing the rich who are packing their bags and leaving New York as we speak. But forget all that. Forget no cash bail. Forget opening the doors to Rikers. Forget defunding the police, eliminating the elite SWAT teams, and eliminating the gang database, all the things that will make New York much, much more dangerous. I want you to consider this, especially if you're in New York right now and you're heading to the polls. In 10 months and 1 week, in September 11th, 2026, just imagine, we're in New York. It's a big day. It's the 25th anniversary of the worst attack this country has ever seen. It's the 25th anniversary of the day 2,977 Americans were slaughtered by Muslim fanatics. Towers were brought down, billions in property damage, trillions in damage to our economy. Just a devastating day for New York and for this country. On that day, I can imagine, just imagine what it'll be like. It will be chilling. It will be just breathtaking watching the ceremonies, listening to the list of victims read aloud again. There'll be a lot of luminaries there. There'll be victims' families. And the man overseeing it all will be the Mayor of New York City, Zoran Mamdani, from Uganda, a devout Muslim who will have to pretend that he'll fake cry for the New Yorkers. He'll pretend that it was a tragedy to him, to his family, his community. It will be an act, just like everything else he does. It'll be an act. That's what he is. He's an actor. He's not real. He doesn't really believe in gay rights. He doesn't believe in legalizing prostitution. He doesn't believe in any of the things he says to the LGBT community or the things he says to Jewish New Yorkers or Christians. He is a Trojan horse, and he's rolling into Gracie Mansion as we speak. Somehow, some way, in the last quarter century, we have lost our way. We have lost our minds. We've imported enough voters to elect a Muslim jihadist communist as mayor of New York City. Yes, it is happening. I'm afraid there's no getting around it anymore. I'm looking at the poly market odds right now. This morning, election day, 91.9% chance that Zoran Mamdani, the 34-year-old Islamist, is going to be mayor of our biggest city. We have to do some serious soul searching at this point. I know we'll all sit back and watch as New York descends into chaos. We will sit back and watch the shift in New York City, where it won't be safe for Jewish New Yorkers to walk the streets. It won't be safe for people to walk their dogs with Jewish stars around their necks. That forget the Orthodox Jews in Brooklyn. Forget that. Their life as they knew it is over. This will be a permission. This will be a green light to turn New York into London, to turn New York into a place that is dominated by Muslim fanatics. 24 years after 9/11. How are you allowing this to happen, New York? You have fallen for it. You have fallen for this snake oil salesman, this fraud, this fake, this phony, this man who is pretending to be something he's not. Let's remind you what happened on his final push, his final days leading up to the election. This was Sunday morning, 1 a.m. in New York. What did Zoran Mamdani do that day? He went to a gay bar, a big, bustling gay bar in New York to make his final pitch. Here it is. I believe it was in Brooklyn. Yes, he took to the mic, and all these New Yorkers, these wokesters, all these hard left liberals, they cheered for this man who, in his quiet moments, does not have any respect for these people. He hates them. Let's be honest. Here it is, the gay bar. Do we have Zoran speaking to the patrons at the gay bar, telling them how much?
9 p.m. So I want to know, are you ready to win this race? Are you ready to beat Andrew?
That's 2 days ago. Him pandering, pretending, lying to gay New Yorkers about he's on their side. He's going to fight for them. And here he is, a couple of months ago in Uganda with a woman, a Ugandan elected official in Uganda. Let me get her name, Rebecca Kadaga, in July, making an appearance with Rebecca Kadaga. You know who she is? She's the woman responsible for the policy in Uganda that calls for life in prison for gay people. Yes, if you're guilty of being gay in Uganda, you will spend your life in prison. Here he is smiling, his arm around this woman. Somehow this slipped by. I don't know, the New York Times and NBC and CNN. I don't remember. I haven't seen this picture, this photograph, this appearance. Here's who you're electing, gay New Yorkers. A man who is smiling and enjoying his time with Rebecca Kadaga, a Ugandan official who pushed hard successfully to get the punishment for being gay in his home country as life in prison. That he would like to see you all spend your life in prison. That's who he is. And you're falling for it. Honestly, this didn't sneak up on us. We've been talking about it for months. He is just acting. He's putting you on. He's playing you, you absolute fools, you morons. I just watched an old lady get interviewed on CNN. She must have been 90 at a diner in New York saying she's enthusiastic. And she adds, I'm Jewish, but I still like him. What? There's 25% of Jewish New Yorkers are voting for this man, are going to the polls and voting for the destruction of their city. It is mind-boggling what we're living through. And I guess we can look at the bright side and say this will help Republicans in the midterms. This will help Republicans around the country. We will get to see evidence, the best evidence yet, that the Democrats have lost their freaking minds. Liberals, this weird coalition of Muslim fanatics and childless cat ladies and woke college students have decided to install this imposter, this Manchurian candidate as mayor of New York City. And what's he promising to do? Well, we'll go through the list again. Tax white neighborhoods more than neighborhoods of color. Defund the police. Not enforce laws or misdemeanors. Protect illegal alien criminals, gang members who terrorized the city under Joe Biden. Well, Trump and Tom Homan and Kristi Noem have done their best, but they're going up against the new mayor of New York City who will do everything in his power to protect Tren de Aragua gang members who had their way in New York and Times Square under Biden. That's going to be a policy for the new mayor. Insane. Madness. What the hell are you doing, New York City. Here is Mamdani yesterday. By the way, I mentioned the 9/11 ceremonies in 10 months. The guy who's going to be overseeing it, you know who he thinks the real victims of New York of 9/11 are? His people who had to suffer through Islamophobia, a totally made up thing. It didn't happen. There was no, his aunt on the subway with her hijab, she didn't exist. And she wasn't real. He made it up. He fake cried. I remember when things like that were disqualifying, when you were exposed as a total fraud. It's nothing. He made up this person just to make him and his people and his family the victims of 9/11. Here he is yesterday. Here he is. To me, this is so mind-boggling. How is this not how does this not convince people that he's a fraud, that he's a danger, that allowing him to oversee the events of next September 11th is a disgrace to the city, to the country? This is this is an embarrassment to all Americans that this guy will be front row center, will be the host, will be the star of next year's 9/11 ceremonies. Here he is yesterday, making it clear who he thinks the real victims of 9/11 are. Go ahead.
I just want to ask everyone in this crowd, if you can raise your hand if you have been called a terrorist while living in this city. Yes. If you can raise your hand if you...
Look at people raise their hands. Raise your hand if you have been called a terrorist. I got a better idea. How about you get a big crowd of New Yorkers and you say, raise your hand if you were knew anyone who was murdered on 9/11, if you were related to somebody, a friend, a coworker. Raise your hand if you were affected by 9/11, the worst attack on this country in our nation's history. Instead, he says, raise your hand if you've been called a terrorist. How about you raise your hand if you are a terrorist? Yes. Here's another quick clip from Zoran Mamdani, the next mayor of New York City. And I haven't seen this. I mean, we played it a couple of weeks ago. It's almost like we have this operation by the mainstream media, by Democrats to cover this up. They knew this was inevitable. He was going to win, and they're going to pretend they're going to position him as some kind of just a Democrat socialist, like Bernie, like AOC. He's got a mask. Hell, he's cosplaying as a terrorist in this, a Hamas terrorist. And he's making clear what his objective is as he ascends to the most powerful position in New York City, the most important city, the financial center of the universe. He's going to be mayor, and here's his ultimate objective. Go ahead.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
We came here to remake this state in the image of our people.
The image of our people. What image is that? The images we see from London and other cities in the UK and other cities in Europe, or is that the image of cities in the Middle East, in Asia? Is it going to be Islamabad? What is New York going to be? What image are you talking about? Has he ever been asked that? What did you mean? You're going to remake the state in the image of our people. What people? I thought you were an American. I know you've only been an American for 7 years. I know you don't like this country. I know you have no respect for it. I know you have no interest in assimilating, in embracing American principles and ideals. We know that. But be specific, Zoran, Z-Man. Tell us, how will you remake the state in the image of our people? I'll say it again. It's going to be incremental, but you're going to see it. There'll be people told, just like in London and Birmingham, you can't walk your dog down that street. They don't like dogs. Oh, no, you can't go down that street with that Star of David. No, you can't go. No, that's a no-go zone. That's a no-go zone. Oh, you can't hang Christmas lights. You can't sell pork on that street. They don't like that. That's coming to New York. And and they're voting for it. Yes, they are voting for it. His lead, and I know it's tightened. Hell, his odds went from 95 down to 92 because people are waking up. People are pointing out that Cuomo and all his faults will not be the downfall of New York City. This guy will. And the amazing thing is, and I blame the media for this, people don't understand. They're just stupid. That's what puts him over the top. Obviously, the Muslim fanatics surround him at every appearance. They know what they're voting for. Bernie knows what this guy's all about. AOC knows. But the people going to the polls, the people in line right now, for the most part, are idiots. They're morons. This is our public education system. Oh, socialism. That's free buses. Oh, that sounds awesome. We're going to get free bus ride. He's going to freeze my rent, which he can't actually do, but sounds good. Let's freeze the rent. So what if it destroys the housing in the city? So what if people flee? Here's a typical, this is Nick Shirley, who's great, on the streets of New York, asking Zoran Mamdani voters, why? Why are you voting for a communist to run our biggest city? Go ahead.
Who are you voting for mayor?
I'm voting Mamdani
And why?
because he's the most obvious choice.
What makes him an obvious choice for you?
It's just like, I'm trying to think. This reminds me of a certain comedy sketch where the comedian was like, we could either vote in one guy and he's going to give everybody free houses, free rent, and he's going to give everybody a Lamborghini, or we could vote in somebody who's going to burn down the city. That's why I'm voting Mamdani, because I'm voting for the guy who give me the Lamborghini.
Yeah, so you think Mamdani's like just going to give you guys everything?
Not everything. I'm saying it's the most obvious choice.
What do you think is going to happen with government-run grocery stores and free buses? Do you think that sounds like a good idea?
That does sound like a good idea.
And freezing the rent?
That does sound like a good idea.
What if they have to freeze the rent to the point where eventually the landlord's not able to come in and fix the washer and make profit on his own lease?
That's their problem.
There you go. Typical Mamdani voter. He's going to give me things. I'm going to get free things. And how is he going to pay for it? Oh, he's going to tax the rich because the rich don't pay their fair share. Well, in New York City, the top 1% of earners pay 48% of the taxes. The top 10% pay more than 70% of the taxes. We've gone through this. You can't tax the rich to pay for everything, especially at the state level. You want to do it at the federal level, make it impossible for people to leave unless they want to leave the country. That's one thing. It's insane, but it's one thing. It doesn't work at a state level. And here you go. This is from the New York Post last night. Hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers are prepared to bolt from the Big Apple if Zoran Mamdani wins Tuesday, potentially setting the stage for the largest population flight in U.S. history, an alarming new poll showed Monday. Around 765,000 people of the 8 million residents who call New York home are preparing to leave, with about 9% of New Yorkers sharing that they will definitely leave if Mamdani is elected. A poll by JL Partners. If those residents were to leave, it would equal the population of Washington, D.C., Las Vegas, or Seattle fleeing the city. That's more than the population of Boston. Another 25% of New Yorkers, 1.2 million, say they will consider packing up. Among high earners, 7% of those making over $250,000 a year saying they will definitely flee. So they're gone. The rich, who are supposed to pay for all the free buses and free health care, those people, they're gone. And it's like, yeah, we'll see what happens. This is it's not that complicated. It is a recipe for the downfall of the city, destruction of the city. And we have a choice. You can vote for Andrew Cuomo, who's a sleazebag and a bad Democrat, as Trump said, but he's not going to defund the police. He's not going to have free buses and free health care. He's not going to open Rikers prison because he doesn't believe in prisons. That's Mamdani. He doesn't believe in prisons. He doesn't believe in arresting people. It's hard to believe we've reached this point 24 years after 9/11. A guy who hates Jews, who hates Israel, who says he will not condemn globalize the Intifada, who considers Hassan Piker a friend, the guy who said America deserves 9/11, a guy who made an appearance with an imam who was an unindicted co-conspirator in the 93 World Trade Center bombing. Yes, last week he went to his mosque and appeared with them proudly, both smiling. That's who's going to be really happy today when the polls close. The imam who was a co-conspirator in the 93 bombing of the World Trade Center. That guy is going to win today. That guy, he doesn't believe in LGBTQ rights. He doesn't believe in legalizing sex work and drugs. And he doesn't believe in spending money on sex changes for kids. That's what Mamdani believes. Sure he does. You are being played, you fools. You are being lied to, and you're falling for it. This is a real indictment on the city. I understand they changed the electorate. I understand 1 in 5 New Yorkers can't speak English. I understand 1 in 4 were not born here. And those people are supporting this fraud. And over 60% of them are voting for the foreigner because they're foreigners. And somehow they want to bring their here. They want to bring their here. And it's going to happen. This is Zoran Mamdani, I believe, 10 days, 12 days after October 7th, after Hamas terrorists went into Israel, slaughtered 1,200 innocent people, killed babies, killed old people, burned them alive, killed women, and raped their corpses. Remember that? Just a couple of years ago. Well, he was so upset by the murder, the slaughter of innocent Israelis, he took to the street and demanded that they end the genocide. The war hadn't even begun yet. And this is this lunatic on the streets of New York, outright rooting, cheering, encouraging Hamas. Go ahead.
We have teenagers who are sitting with us ready for their first civil disobedience, and we have uncles. No tears for the teenagers. The only way we can honor the lives of those who have been taken from us is to resolve the context within which they all live. And that means end the occupation. That means end the blockade and the siege. That means end the apartheid system of government. Do not bear witness. Do not bear witness. Take action. Take action. Take action. Senator Gilbert. Senator Gilbert. Call for. Ceasefire. Ceasefire. Now. Senator Gilbert. Senator Gilbert. You are complicit. In the genocide. Senator Gilbert. Not in. Our name. Not on. Our time. Senator Gilbert.
Oh, shut up. Oh, what a disgusting, vile human being. That is 13 days after October 7th. 13 days after Hamas, in one of the most inhumane, evil acts we've ever seen, killed children, killed women, killed whole families, blew them up, burned them alive. That's before the IDF went into Gaza, and he's demanding an end to the genocide and the occupation. He sounds really, really broken up, really devastated by the death of 1,200 Jews. You know why? Because he didn't care. He knew which side he was on. That was just, an act of war. That was just a poor oppressed people fighting back by raping corpses of dead Israeli women. Just an absolute vile, soulless, evil man. And a vile, soulless, evil mayor of our biggest and most important city. I never thought I'd see this day. I shudder to think what's going to happen in New York. I'm glad I don't live there, and I'm not going there. And I think a lot of people today, tomorrow, share my sentiment. Stay the hell out. Watch the damn city burn. It is sickening. It is disturbing. It is unconscionable that people are going to go to the polls right now and vote for this disgusting creature. That is truly a vile, evil, rotten, disgusting human being who is now mayor, who's shortly going to be mayor of New York City. Get me Trump's post, because he's doing his best. He's throwing his support behind Cuomo, who hates Trump, who's vowed to fight Trump, who is a corrupt Democrat who led to the death of tens of thousands of elderly people when he put COVID positive patients in nursing homes, who couldn't keep his hands to himself, who's a pervert and a creep, but he's better than the alternative. Trump posts, Trump's, this is a Hail Mary at the last ditch effort. Maybe it'll be closer than we think, but it ain't going to work. He writes, if communist candidate Zohran Mamdani wins the election for mayor, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the bare minimum required to my beloved first home, because of the fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with a communist at the helm, and I don't want to send good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation. It is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mamdani win. His principles have been tested over thousands of years and never once have been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who's had a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He goes on, he was nothing as an assemblyman. He has no chance to bring New York back to its glory. We must remember this. A vote for Sliwa, who looks much better without the beret, is a vote for Mamdani. Whether you personally like Cuomo or not, you really have no choice. You must vote for him and hope he does a fantastic job. He's capable of it. Mamdani is not. That is well said by Trump. It ain't going to work. He's doing it. I can't imagine all the businesses, the builders, the renovators, the HVAC guys, the people who work for a living in New York. They must be saying, it's over. It's over. We're going to get strangled. We're going to get destroyed by this man. And the people, your neighbors, are voting for it. Sad, sad day. R.I.P. to NYC. And a couple other elections. We're hoping, Jack Ciattarelli wins in New Jersey. Probably won't. It's a blue state. We're hoping Earl Sears wins in Virginia. Probably won't. It's a blue state. But they're leaving nothing to chance in New Jersey. They're a little nervous because their candidate sucks. Mikey Sherrill is a liar and a fraud, but she's probably going to win, and they're going to make sure of it. Here's this morning in New Jersey. Here's what's going on. I'm telling you, Democrats aren't messing around. They're doing everything they can to get their candidate over the top, including bomb threats. Yes, they're calling in bomb. I'm just going to go out and say it. This is not a Republican. This is not a Ciattarelli fan who's threatening to bomb polling places. Go ahead. Let's hear a report from New Jersey this morning.
Governor Mark Meredith is live in Montclair with the latest for us. Mark.
Ainsley, Brian, and Lawrence, good morning once again, friends. Some brand new information coming into our newsroom that we've learned that these threats were communicated electronically via email to at least 7 different counties across the Garden State. These threats certainly being taken seriously, and out of abundance of caution, some of the polling places were temporarily either closed or suspended as they moved voters to different locations. And then as they were doing those searches, then either able to reopen some of the facilities. We got a statement from the Attorney General of New Jersey. I want to put it up on the screen for you. It says, says law enforcement officers have responded at each affected polling place. Some of these polling locations have already reopened to the public. The polls in New Jersey opened at 6 a.m. sharp. We have not seen any added security in the last hour or so, but it is certainly possible that we could see more because at this polling facility right here behind me, we are going to be seeing the Democratic nominee for governor, Mikey Sherrill. She'll be out here with her family to cast her.
So they called bomb threats into 7 different polling places, not actual bombs, but they're doing their best to keep people away and hope that Mikey Sherrill prevails. And again, she probably will. It's a blue state. Virginia's lost. Virginia's gone. I think that's one reason the shutdown has lasted this long, because they need to motivate all the federal workers in Virginia. These are people who are furloughed and they got nothing better to do. So they're going to go out and vote for their team, vote for Abigail Spanberger, who wants men in women's locker rooms. She's going to win because Northern Virginia is dominated by federal workers who are voting for themselves, essentially. But we'll see. We will see. All right, we got so much to get to on this wild election day, this sad, sad day in America. Big news. A Democrat, an elderly, frail, confused old Democrat is actually stepping down. Hard to believe. I didn't think they ever did that anymore. We'll tell you about her. And this Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson thing has gotten out of control. The New York Times is calling Nick Fuentes the heir apparent to Charlie Kirk. Yes, they're actually doing it. They're doing their best to elevate the racist, anti-Semitic Nick Fuentes. We'll tell you about that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
If there's something all of us can believe in, it's hard work, self-reliance, and showing up for the people who count on us. Kind of like President Trump, just going hard 24/7. The difference is Donald Trump doesn't need sleep. You do. I do. It's the most important thing to good health. I was in a horrible cycle that had no end in sight. I knew I had to find something to break me free of that cycle. That's when I found Beam's Dream Powder. Beam is proudly founded in America and run by people who share our values: hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a healthy nighttime blend packed with science-based ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is made with a powerful blend of all natural ingredients: reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, and melatonin. Here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of up to 40% off. Try their best-selling green powder and get up to 40% off for a limited time. So with my discount code Gerry, G-E-R-R-Y, you can get the best-selling dream powder for just $39. Go to shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Gerry. Use code word Gerry for up to 40% off. My dear late mother used to say, if you can't say something nice about something, don't say anything. And I used to tell her, Mom, I can't do that. It's my job. I can't do it. I'm sorry. I usually listen to Mom, but not with that bit of advice. So today, sorry, Mom, Dick Cheney passed away at 84 years old. I can't believe he lived to 84. This guy had his first of 5 heart attacks at the age of 37. And he left a mixed legacy, to say that I can't look at the commercials you see for wounded warriors. I can't look at people like Joey Jones or Brian Mast, or people who left their limbs on the battlefield in Iraq, and think of Dick Cheney, a guy who never served. No one in his family served. God knows his loathsome daughter never served, but he was the architect of the war, and he's the one that told us they had weapons of mass destruction. That's his legacy. And passed away. This is, to me, a lasting image of him as somebody who lived through a lot in his years in Washington and for many different administrations. He was a nefarious figure, to put it mildly. And I'd like to think that his dying thought was, Donald Trump's president. He did everything he could. His daughter did everything she could, including lying to the world about January 6th to stop Trump, and they failed. You failed, Dick Cheney. Here's Dick Cheney's, I think, last sort of public appearance when he made a video for his daughter, and this backfired. I don't think this worked. He was attempting to convince people not to vote for Trump. Didn't work, Dick. Here he is.
In our nation's 246-year history, there has never been an individual who is a greater threat to our republic than Donald Trump. He tried to steal the last election using lies and violence to keep himself in power after the voters had rejected him. He is a coward. A real man wouldn't lie to his supporters. He lost his election. He lost big. I know it, he knows it, and deep down, I think most Republicans know it. Lynn and I are so proud of Liz for standing up for the truth, doing what's right, honoring her oath to the Constitution, when so many in our party are too scared to do so. Liz is fearless. She never backs down from a fight. There is nothing more important she will ever do than lead the effort to make sure Donald Trump is never.
Well, I hope your last thought was just how irrelevant Liz is, your daughter. She failed. She lost by 40 points in a race in Wyoming, and now she's nobody. And now we'll remember you calling Trump a liar, the guy who told us Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction and sent us into this pointless, stupid war. We can all look back on that and with regret that we believed you. That will forever bother me. I believed this guy. Oh, God. Well, he is no longer with us. 84 years old. He lived to, hard to believe, guy. You know, still kicking? Nancy Pelosi. She will be 86 in March. And I'll say this, I will give Nancy Pelosi credit. Yes, I don't think I've ever done that before. It's like Barry Sanders or Jim Brown or Calvin Johnson. She's stepping away in the prime of her career. Nancy Pelosi is not going to run for re-election in 2026. She'll be 80. Well, she turns 86 in March. She's not at the top of her game anymore. She is not. I'm not sure why more people don't do this. They have kids, they have grandkids. She's fabulously wealthy. She's made hundreds of millions of dollars while in public service. And it was announced yesterday that Nancy will be stepping down. Some other lunatic, maybe even Scott Wiener, this pervert from San Francisco, will take her seat. So it's not going to turn red, of course, but at least this crazy woman who is just consumed with Trump hatred will be off the public stage. We'll no longer get to hear her struggle to articulate her thoughts on Trump. Here she is this week telling you Trump is the worst president we've ever had. Is there a follow-up question, by the way? What makes him the worst ever? Can you tell us? What did he do to you, Nancy? Does he just make you feel icky? Does he just make you feel like a loser? Tell us the policy. What did he do? Stop the wars, close the border? What upsets you so much? But she's like most Democrats. They can't think straight. They see Trump, they hear Trump, they lose their minds. Here's Nancy talking about our president. Go ahead.
He's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the president of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. In fact, he's turned the Supreme Court into a rogue court. He's abolished the House of Representatives. He's killed.
I missed that. I paid pretty close attention to the news. I missed that. He abolished the House of Representatives. Wow. Trump is just getting stuff done. Abolished the House of Representatives while she's sitting in the House of Representatives. How did he do that, by the way? Executive order? Did he just eliminate the House of Representatives? The worst thing on the face of the earth. So we know, there's whatever, Kim Jong-un. We know there's terrorists out there, killers, murderers, gang members. But Trump is the worst thing on the face of the earth. It's good to know that in her final days, final years, she will just be consumed. She wakes up in the morning full of rage. That could be Trump's greatest achievement, just breaking people like Dick Cheney and Nancy Pelosi, but poor woman has to go home to San Francisco and enjoy her hundreds of millions of dollars, her winery, with Paul, and live the rest of her days in fabulous wealth and riches, thanks to her time in public service. She's not the only one. They're all just insanely deranged because they can't look at Trump. They can't hear his voice, see his face without losing. Here's Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton. I say this all the time. He's got more balls than brains. He was a Marine in Iraq. He served admirably. And then he came home. He ran for public office. He won a seat in Congress, and he just lost his mind. He goes on MSNBC to talk about Trump, and even Joe Scarborough is like, whoa, dude, you can't say that. This is Trump. I assume his legal team has already seen this. This is Trump's next step. He sued ABC and Stephanopoulos for $16 million, settled. He sued 60 Minutes and CBS for $16 million. They just announced the settlement the day after Trump did the interview at 60 Minutes. So he made at least $32 million, which is going to go towards his library, suing people who defamed him on TV, on network TV, cable TV. Here's your next target, Trump legal team. This is Seth Moulton defaming, slandering the president, and watch Joe Scarborough's reaction. Go ahead.
To freedom with Trump. If you are one of the people like him who took advantage of young girls with Jeffrey Epstein, then we're going to sort of make that go away. I mean, fundamentally, Speaker Johnson...
We don't have evidence that he took advantage of young girls with Jeffrey Epstein.
Right. Just common sense be damned.
I'm not saying common sense be damned. I'm saying facts. Let's look at the facts. I mean, is he in the Epstein files?
He's obviously in the Epstein files. And the reason that fundamentally Speaker Johnson has us on vacation is because he does not want to seat the newly elected Democratic representative.
Right, but you said he
Arizona.
took advantage of young girls. You have absolutely no evidence of that.
I think it's pretty obvious that that's what's going on.
You think it's pretty obvious?
I do. And I think it's pretty obvious to the Republican.
John Lemire, any reporting on this?
Well, we know that he's friends with Epstein. We know the birthday card was in there. I mean, he has not been accused of any wrongdoing.
No.
I think that's the point you're trying to make. But also, certainly here, we know that Speaker Johnson has kept the House out of session, in large part to not seat the woman, the Congresswoman-elect from Arizona, who would provide a decisive vote to release more material. So, yeah, certainly that would be, any association with further embarrassment.
And also the book that Virginia Giuffre.
Right. Follow up for you, Seth, you idiot. If Trump's in the Epstein files taking advantage of young girls, why didn't Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, why didn't you release it? Why? You tried to bankrupt him. You tried to imprison him for the rest of his life. Hell, you tried to kill him, but you didn't want to cross that line. You didn't want to release the files while Biden was in office to stop Trump. That could have stopped him. That was your whole goal, your whole party. All you wanted to do was stop Trump by any means necessary, but you didn't release the files that showed he was taking advantage of young girls. I'm praying Trump's legal team slaps that moron, Seth Moulton, with a suit. I'm not sure you can include MSNBC. That'd be my legal question, because Scarborough pushed back hard. Scarborough's sitting there going, "You can't say that, you fool. Have you followed the news? He's made millions suing mainstream media hacks."
That right there is why Trump has breakfast or lunch with Mika and Joe.
True. Joe's a fraud. He pretends to be a character, but he's not stupid. He knows what Moulton just did there is actionable, and I hope Trump goes after him and goes after him hard. All right, we have to get to this this Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes dust up. It is amazing what's happening with Tucker. I don't understand it. I'm a huge Tucker fan. I will never give up on him. I will always listen to what he has to say. But at some point, I know lots of people have reached out to me because they know I'm big Tucker guy. I don't know what happened. At some point, a switch flipped, and Tucker became anti-Israel. Somebody did something. Somebody hurt him, pissed him off, offended him, and he decided he was going all in on opposing Israel and the U.S.-Israel relationship. It started with his interview with Ted Cruz, and I have no problem. You want to criticize Israel, but we know that it doesn't. What it leads to anti-Semitism here at home. We've talked about it many times. There's a war 5,000 miles away, and somehow the anti-Semitic people in this country have blamed Jews, not Israel, Jews. They blamed college kids on the campus of Harvard and Columbia and other places for a war they had nothing to do with. It's madness. And Tucker, for some reason, is playing into it. And he took the next step, a big step, by platforming Nick Fuentes. And if you don't know who Nick Fuentes is, he's a leader of the Groypers. He's virulent anti-Semite. He criticized J.D. Vance for marrying I forget what he called it. It's some slur for an Indian woman. And I mean, he's just a complete extremist, lunatic, anti-Semite, racist, and he's unapologetic. I mean, he's got an audience, I guess, but it's certainly not most Republicans or most conservatives. Most of us are just are sickened by this guy, and I have no problem, by the way, that Tucker put him on a show. Tucker's a great debater. He used to do this nightly on Fox News, but he doesn't challenge him. There's my problem. He doesn't take him on. Nick Fuentes said in this interview, and I watched it, I listened to it, and he was on his best behavior. It wasn't nearly as much, blaming the Jews as he usually does with Tucker, but he did say some things that were so outrageous. And I was sitting there going, Tucker, take him on, man. Challenge him. Don't, you're not his buddy. He's a dangerous extremist. And for some reason, Tucker's so invested in this anti-Israel, anti-Semitic take that he indulged this madman, Nick Fuentes. And you want to know how? You want to know the effect? Can you get me that New York Times headline from today, I believe? The New York Times obviously is a radical left-wing organization. It's not a newspaper or website. They're advocates, they're activists, they are far left. Here's a headline. Nick Fuentes was Charlie Kirk's bitter enemy. Now he's becoming his successor. And they have this kind of ominous photo, black and white photo of Nick Fuentes. His successor? This could be the most insane thing ever published in the New York Times, and that's saying a lot. His successor, he hated Charlie Kirk. He hated him because Charlie didn't hate Jews or hate blacks enough. I mean, he says that Erica Kirk, it was all a setup. She was just pretending to marry, to love Charlie Kirk, that she's an operative. I mean, he just said the most insane things about Charlie Kirk. And he said, my goal is to destroy him. And now New York Times says he's his successor. It's so outrageous that you can't even believe it's real. But here's Tucker with Nick Fuentes. This is where he lost me. He tells Tucker that he loves Joseph Stalin. And Tucker doesn't push back at all. I mean, I've done plenty of interviews. That's gold. You got a guy, you confront him, you fight him, you call him out, you battle him, and everyone would be like, good, Tucker called out Nick Fuentes. But no, he just sits there and moves along after he tells him he loves Joseph Stalin. Check this out.
So it was like late December. It's actually funny. It was December 18th. I remember because that's an important date to me. And it's Joseph Stalin's birthday. Oh, I'm a fan.
You're a fan of Stalin's?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I was an admirer, but we don't need to go into that. I guess.
Well, that's okay. Let's get back to it. We'll circle back to that.
It was weird because the reason I mentioned that, it was almost like, because I woke up that day and I was like, oh, it's December 18th. And I was just like very acutely aware of like, today's like a strange day. This is the day that the attempt happened.
He's talking about an attempt on his life, but Tucker says we'll circle back. He never circled back. He has a guest who says he loves Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin killed more people than Hitler. He's a big fan of Hitler's too. There's nothing wrong with interviewing this guy. He's got a following. He's well-spoken. He's crazy. You got to push back, Tucker. Even you have to say, wait a second. You love Joseph Stalin? Can we unpack this a little? Can you explain to me what you love about him? But he didn't. And I don't know what it is. There's something there. I'd love for somebody to reveal, to report and tell us what happened to Tucker. What happened? What made him go there? What made him put this guy on? He's not the only one. He's done lots of interviews with people who hate Israel, who want to blame the Jews for everything. And Tucker's got a huge audience, probably getting even bigger. But man, it happened to Candace Owen. That was bad. That was weird. She's the one blaming Turning Point for the death of their leader, which is madness. But blaming the Jews, it's just not helpful, Tucker. Really isn't. But we'll see where that goes. Lots of people are posting all of Nick Fuentes' hot takes on Israel, the Jews, and race. And I'm sorry, New York Times is hoping he's a successor for Charlie Kirk. He's the opposite. Charlie Kirk didn't have a racist bone in his body. Charlie Kirk was not anti-Semitic. Charlie Kirk didn't attack people for mixing the races. That's Nick Fuentes. He has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk. He hated Kirk. Kirk hated him. Kirk was pissed at Dinesh D'Souza for debating Nick Fuentes. He didn't want this scumbag anywhere near his movement. And the New York Times is dubbing him, declaring him the heir apparent. Just crazy. But it is a crazy time. I guess if you're going to elect a Islamist, jihadist, communist mayor of New York City, then we're in a simulation. This isn't real. I'm sorry. This can't be real. But apparently it is. There are lines outside the polling places with people going in to vote for the destruction of their own city, our own city. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how those bomb threats work for Democrats in New Jersey. Whatever it takes, get their gal elected. But we will leave it there today. We'll be back tomorrow with all the results, all the returns, all the people gloating. I don't think I could stomach it, Ironhead, when they show all these celebrations tonight. They show the Mamdani headquarters where they're all celebrating and cheering and just can't wait to destroy the city. Sad, sad day in America, and it's going to get worse. It's going to get bad. But hey, elections have consequences. We will leave it there for today. Big day, election day. Get out and vote. Get out and vote against the destruction of your city, of your state, of your country. That's what is on the ballot today in New York City. But that will do it for today. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'm Gerry Callahan. This is The Callahan Show, and we'll do it again tomorrow.
He's just a vile creature. The worst thing on the face of the earth. But anyway.
You think he's the worst thing on the face of the earth?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Why is that?
Because he's the president of the United States and he does not honor the Constitution of the United States. And